So next, let's have the purposes of research. So first one is to explore. So the purposes of research, you can actually find this one in your book. I hope you have your book with you. So this is your book, okay? So first purpose of research is to explore, okay? Finding out about some previously unexamined phenomenon. So in this purpose, you are actually seeking new horizons. You are trying new things. You are proving these new things. And this is where curiosity takes place because you are exploring, you're trying new things, right? For example, the fire, the control of the fire by our ancestors, diba? Another example, in these trying times, one of the most one of our problems really is the COVID-19, the pandemic, right? And if you want to research about COVID-19, uh, you may take this one purpose, this first purpose, to explore. Okay, if you want to research on pandemic, you try to explore on the possibilities of the cure, right? Of the effects, the causes, okay? Because this pandemic is really new. It's a new virus. Uh, this purpose can actually be applied when we like to research about COVID. So, it is really finding out about some previously unexamined phenomenon. So, you focus on the topics that have not been investigated before or that use new techniques in collecting and analyzing data. So that is exploring. So I have here an example. I hope you can read it. So this one is from Earl Bobby. So he has a nice example of an exploratory research, okay, on the phenomenon of channeling. So may I read it to you? A while back, I became aware of the growing popularity of something called channeling, in which a person known as a channel or medium enters a trance state and begins speaking with a voice that he or she claims originating outside the channel. Some of the voices say they come from a spirit world of the dead, some say they are from other planets, and still others say they exist on dimensions of reality difficult to explain in ordinary human terms. The channeled voices, often referred to as entities, sometimes use the metaphor of radio or television for the phenomenon they represent. When you watch the news, one told me in the course of an interview, you don't believe Dan Rather is really inside the television set. The same is true for me. I use this medium's body the way Dan Rather uses your television set. The idea of channeling interested me from several perspectives, not the least of which was the methodological question of how to study scientifically something that violates so much of what we take for granted, including scientific staples such as space, time, causation, and individuality. Lacking any rigorous theory or precise expectations, I merely set out to learn more. Using some of the techniques of qualitative field research, I began amassing information and forming categories for making sense of what I observed. I read books and articles about the phenomenon and talked to people who had attended channeling sessions. I then attended channeling sessions myself, observing those who attended as well as the channel and entity. Next, I conducted personal interviews with numerous channels and entities. So, since there was no theory about the phenomenon of channeling, or the term channeling is not that famous during the time that when Bobby had to research on this, and he was so uncertain also on how to go about this research. That's why Bobby engaged in an exploratory study about the topic. Okay? And this is an example of an exploratory research. So since this is new and it has never been investigated before, a researcher wants to explore this thing or this topic. Just like also the things that you have shared before in our activity, right? Since you are curious about those things and they are also new to you, your own inventions, you have to research about that, right? And that is an example of exploratory research. Next purpose is to describe. In here, discover answers to the questions who, what, when, where, and sometimes how. So in describing, what do we actually do when we are describing a thing or anything? Of course, we need to paint a vivid picture of a scenario or the thing that we are describing using the detailed descriptions of what we feel, what we see, what we hear, or what we taste and even smell on that specific thing. Okay, so we are actually activating our senses when we are describing. So an example of this one is when you go to a community and you only need to describe or observe the people who are living in the community. Let's say, for example, the Eta community in Zambales, wherein they were able to adopt after the eruption of Mount Pinatubo in 1990. So how are you going to describe the Etas, our brothers and sisters, Etas in Zambales during that time? So you need to go there and you need to observe and activate your senses. So here is another example. During major scientific classification of plants, animals, and periodic table elements, the characteristics and components of each subject are evaluated and used to determine how they are classified. For example, living things may be classified into kingdom Plantae or kingdom Animalia depending on their nature. Further classification may group animals into mammals, species, vertebrae, invertebrae, etc. All these classifications are made a result of descriptive research which describes what they are. So, in this case, you're just classifying the plants, and in order to classify the plants, you need to describe, for example, the shape of the plant, the size of the plant, the land wherein these plants are planted, and the like. And we have another purpose. Next one is to explain. So in here, we need to explicate things, events, and phenomena and discover why they become so. So in here, we are trying to elucidate, to explicate, to clarify things. And one actual example of an explanatory research is the work of Emmy Werner of 2016, who monitored 698 children in Hawaii from birth until their 30s. Wow! So she looked into resiliency and what set some children apart and how, despite encountering stress and problems such as poverty and family issues, they succeeded into becoming competent, confident, and caring young adults. So she found out that several factors contributed to this. One had to do with luck, such as cases when the child had a good relationship with an authority figure like a parent, teacher, mentor, or caregiver. Another one was psychological. The children who had internal locus of control and believed that they, and not their circumstances, affected their achievement, and or orchestrators of their own fates, developed resilience. So in here, the researcher in the name of Emmy Werner tried to monitor, imagine, 698 children in Hawaii. So she tried to clarify, explicate, and elucidate the things or what happened during this duration of birth until their 30s. So that is an example of an explanatory research. Another one is you would ponder on the questions or you would answer on the questions. Why was the devastation so great in Leyte during the Yolanda typhoon? So you will try to figure out that one. Another, why did the Zamboanga siege happen? What events led to this? So these questions revolve around events and seek to examine why these events happen. So that's when explaining comes in. Okay?